Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another commentary done by Sunday. And on behalf of the Rush Network, I am glad to bring you another replay. I have heard so many good things about it. So, nonetheless, spawning in the top left, LiquidHaypro, and all the way over to the right is Ver. And something very interesting just happened. These players actually spawn horizontally on this map, which never ever happens. I literally can't tell you the last time I actually saw people do this. That is, wow, that's actually, it's kind of crazy. And on a map like this, it's kind of unfair that it does that, just because of the destructible rocks in the back door. It can lead to some crazy games. So I'm a bit shocked that that actually did happen. But nonetheless, looks like we're actually going to see a supply depot go down in the rocks, as if he's almost anticipating his opponents over there. So this is Haypro. Haypro, a very strong player, a member of the Team Liquid team, and really a player who, if you hit that join ladder game, this is a player you do not want to go against, ladies and gentlemen. He is very, very good. He actually qualified for GSL 3. Just to qualify, you basically have to win a 32-person tournament. So he won the finals in that, and then you go to the GSL. Unfortunately, his run for the GSL ended very, very quickly in the first round. He actually played Terran, and Terran's doing their little all-in stuff, and Haypro just wasn't ready. So I'm interested to see if he's learned how to do it. I didn't feel Haypro was ready at all for it, and it's kind of funny if you think about it. He was actually the last match to play that night. I remember watching it live, so he was just sitting there watching 3 Zerg opponents before him lose to all-in SCV rush, and he probably didn't have anything prepared for it, because I actually remember specifically he hatched first on Blistering Sands and totally got annihilated. But nonetheless, this is not the GSL, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a random ladder game. This is Haypro versus Ver. It looks like we do have the hatchery going down for Haypro, and I always forget about my tabs too long as a Brood War commentator. But nonetheless, Orbital Command coming down and a Marine as well. So very standard timings thus far. Looks like the Terran players choosing to not wall in here. But I've heard very, very good things about this game. I've heard it's absolutely spectacular. But we did see the hatch first play from Haypro. I really think he likes that. He's actually very, very good a long-time Brood War play. His mechanics are supreme. They are very, very good. And so I'm interested to see if that's what he's going to go for, is some heavy macro play. Almost like an Idra Zerg here. Really, Idra actually even said that he respects Haypro as a player. If you get that, that's like being a basketball player and getting respected by Michael Jordan. It just doesn't really happen. Idra is one of the hardest. He critiques everyone's play. He really he's someone hard to show up good under. So nonetheless, looks like the gas seal coming down. Very standard play in TVZ, or in ZVT, excuse me. Looks like that gas is actually going to pop up. What that does is basically it says no to Banshees, but doesn't look like that was really in Ver's in his playbook right here. Looks like he's just going to throw down that command center. That could have been the reaction to the gas deal, but I think it started just a tad before the gas came up. So nonetheless, looks like we're going to right from the bat get into a nice macro game here. Looks like 2 queens coming out for our Zerg player, so he's really going to be able to get some larvae out and really drone up quite hardcore. So looks like right now we do have 16, all tied up at 17 workers each. Standard play thus far. A couple lings out. Usually you'll only see the 2, but he's actually going to go with the 4, probably because he got that hatch down. Just wants to make sure he's safe. So finally that gas getting killed, and finally he's going to put up the refinery of his own, but looks like a bunker going down. Very standard play thus far, but I'm very, very interested to see how these destructible rocks come into play, ladies and gentlemen. They can just lead to some crazy games, just having those rocks. If Terran chooses to take this expansion, I'm interested to see if that's what Terran's going to do here, is try to take this expansion. You actually saw a game between Huck versus Idra, the last commentary I did, and really Huck played it beautifully just because he let Zerg macro up, but he actually just took this backdoor expansion, and his opponent was right here. The same kind of scenario, but he was able just to camp around and hold that expansion until the minerals ran out, and then he relocated his army, just because it's very hard for Zerg to try to come through these rocks and come down the ramp to come into Colossi fire, basically. So kind of the same for Terrans with tanks. Obviously not quite as good as Colossi, but nonetheless, looks like we are into a heavy macro game, to say the very least. Looks like speed is just getting started. We have another queen coming out here, so really Haypro is macroing up heavy. Looks like I thought that might have been a drone. I thought we might have seen a 3rd expansion go down, but I'm just really right now, both players are saying, you know what, I'm going to take this to the late game. This is Haypro style, so I'm interested to see how Ver's late game is. Actually haven't heard the name, but to play Haypro in the latter game, you obviously have to be of some skill. So nonetheless, looks like this bunker is just going to empty out a couple Marines and go in. If Haypro actually going to try to suicide this Overlord in, and we are going to see double factory play with the Tech Lab. We're going to go ahead and see some Hellions come in, another reactor. We're going to see some Marines, but I think HayPro's going to get a nice look at this. Let's go ahead and click on it. He did, in fact, see exactly what his opponent's doing, so nice scouting here by HayPro. Going to relocate that and going to get the reactor on the factory. So we're going to see a lot of Hellions come out into play thus far, and we are actually going to see the pre-igniter on that, the extra damage for those Hellions, as well as layer tech here thus far. So finally that third expansion going up. So these Hellions, I don't know if they're going to be be able to do too much damage, because there are quite a few queens out, but he's going to need to get those lings out, especially with queens, or especially with speed. The lings with speed really can clean up drops quite quickly. We are actually going to see the armory coming down as well. He's going to go ahead and try to get some Thors out before the Spire pops. I would expect to see a Spire pop when this layer is complete, but nonetheless the third is coming up. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the resource tab. You can see our player HayPro really macroing up, ladies and gentlemen. 36 drones. Expect him to really continue to macro. Not a scary push coming as of yet. Interested to see what Terran's plans are, if he's going to try to go for that timing push, or if he's just going to macro up here and try to take a third. But nonetheless, engineering bay going up. You really can see he's expecting the Spire. Will we see the Spire? Looks like we're actually going to see a few roaches come into play, but I would expect the Spire. So good against the Zerg. Finally, or so good against the Terran, excuse me. Finally, the Spire has popped. Very standard timing. Nicely done thus far. Expect drones to be transferring, and Zerg's easily going to have a 3-based economy, which is a great start. This is such a big map, but here come the Hellions to put a lot of pressure on. How much damage will they do? That's really the question, and you can see a lot of queens coming down. Nice defense here by HayPro. Well defended with a few roaches and a queen here, and he's going to be able to push this attack back and repel, and now he's going to have to use those Hellions for just to try to gather as much map control as possible. Here they come to get a couple shots on the roaches, and really roaches will definitely dominate the Hellions, but Hellions can be micro and deal quite a bit of damage. Speaking of a player with great Hellion micro, QXC, the aggressor himself. So it looks like we're going to see Ver try to put pressure on, but walking right by and getting almost losing two. It looks like he's going to try to go for a run by. Will he get up the ramp? But HayPro quick to put a queen on the ramp and stop it, but he has at least seen it. How many drone kills will he get? Getting quite a few thus far. Go and take a look at the resource tab. Oh, yes, he has. That is way more drones than he has. Oh my, he picked up a lot of drones. HayPro all the way down to 36 drones, and that is not the situation he wants to be in, but luckily for him, he has a lot of queens, that third hatchery up, and he's really going to be able to replenish this army with quite ease, or replenish those drones, excuse me. He was actually playing perfect defense. Finally, those Hellions ran by, and those drones just clumped up so nicely. It's like they were committing suicide themselves, just clumped in a circle for the Hellions to burn them. So nonetheless, already back up to 53. The power of Zerg production here. But looks like we're going to see another factory come into play. Heavy mech play coming from Ver. I really do like the decision. Heavy mech play is so strong, but it really is a slower paced game, so we could easily see him try to take 4 or 5 bases, split the map. Shakuras Plateau, definitely a map that can be really macroed on. But nonetheless, it looks like the command center is about halfway up. Probably going to float it. Probably will take this expansion thus far, but will he choose to push and try to take the high 12 o'clock expansion? This will be easier to be secured if he does ever get to the tank tech. Definitely already has siege about halfway out. Tanks are going to come out. What will Zerg choose to counter this? Looks like he is going to go for the infestation pit. Going to get some infestors into play, which is going to be a huge help. But really, he's got to stop that roach production right now, because really those tanks are just going to deal serious damage. Interested to see what kind of unit composition with those infestors. He should be able to hold this off pretty well, I would have to say, but it's going to be all come down to micro, who can control better here. Taking a look at the income tab once again, all the way up to 66 drones. And once he gets one more rotation of drones out, he's going to be up to enough where he's probably going to want to stop production there. But we do see 54 SCVs and a ton of mules. So you look at the income tab, Zerg just a little bit ahead, but the third expansion is almost up. Looks like it's going to float. Where exactly is that expansion headed towards? Looks like it's just going to chill and take a look at the barracks and enjoy flying over for a moment, but expect that to move. But a lot of tanks out here with the help of the Thor, and now Zerg's going to be able to look at the creep spread for HayPro. Very good thus far, and this is just going to keep to expand. So I like the idea that Terran's going to put a little pressure on, but looks like indeed he's just going to bunker up and take the third expansion. So Terran's just going to try to get to that count where basically get the army that Zerg just can't stop. Will HayPro be able to deal with it? Looks like he is responding exactly like he should be. He's going to go ahead and grab his 4th base, which is going to be a huge help for it. And looks like we are already seeing the hive tech, ladies and gentlemen, just getting right up there real quick, realizing the Terran's not pushing. and taking this time to macro up very, very hardcore. Look like a lot of links coming out. Let's go take a look at the units tab. Looks like he has 5 Zerglings, 9 Mutas, and 9 Roaches. So still a relatively small army, but look at that, ladies and gentlemen. 74 drones. He is going to be able to make a huge army very, very quickly. Looks like the 3rd expansion finally landed. Look like Zerg doing a nice job to spread creep here. This will really delay the Terran Expo. Definitely a note for all amateur players. You can annoy the crap out of players. You see the best of the best Zerg do it all over. Obviously the extra APM, you might as well put it to use, but looks like a group of Mutalisks here just going to try to take advantage of the slow maneuverability from the Thors here and just try to put pressure on, pick off SCVs where they can, when they can. So it looks like thus far really a heavy macro game. This is almost a game you'd see at a lower level, but looks like some Hellions have ran in here and not doing a lot of damage, all getting pushed back, completely repelled here. So it looks like nice defense thus far from Haypro, but yeah, this might just come down to that one huge attack, which the victor or whoever will win will come from it. I'm interested to see though how this is going to play out. Is it a three base timing push from here, or is he just going to try to go to a 4th base? I mean, this is really, there's been absolutely no action, but besides a little bit of a Hellion harassment, which really put Terran in a nice situation. But there's nothing Zerg can't do right now with this big of an economy. Look at the saturation, ladies and gentlemen. So many drones here. He is going to be able to replenish a 200 out of 200 army in seconds, and boy do I mean seconds. 153 side count already. Let's take a look at the Terran. 152. Terran comfortably sitting just one side behind the Zerg, which is not where you want to be if you're the Zerg, ladies and gentlemen. Not at all. Looks like the hive has completed. Looks like a couple spine crawlers going up, but look at this creep spread. He is popping up expansion, and looks like he's going to come over with his Mutalisks. I think Haypro wants to keep his opponent in 4 or into his 3 bases, but looks like Ver has plans to do differently here. Looks like he's going to pop down the command center, and look like the Mutalisks are going to come into a little bit of harassment, but ooh, he's got to back up because here comes Mr. Thor and gets a nice shot on the Mutas here, doing a lot of damage. So it looks like the command center is going to have to be delayed just a tad bit, but look at this army for the Terran army. Absolutely huge, and this is not an army of Zerg you can attack to and by any means, but looks like he's going to put the spine crawler defense. He might be fearing a drop or the backdoor attack from Ver. So very, very nicely done thus far, and this is definitely turning into the late game, and there has not been a single battle, ladies and gentlemen. Both players just macroing their little hearts out. Must have agreed on a no rush 20 or something like it, because there is no attacking thus far in the game. Both players just macroing out their guts. Look like we have a command center popping up. We're gonna actually see the planetary fortress defense here, which is so strong. Are you kidding me? There's no possible way for Zerg to break that. Look for Haypro to try to play the mobility factor, and that's exactly what he's going for, but he's taking a lot of hits on those Mutas, and this has put Zerg in a very, very tough situation. Looks like he's going to come side with some Broodlords and be able to put some pressure on. Nice tech switch here thus far by Haypro, really going to be able to delay mining time, and I'm interested to see just how quickly he can do it. Looks like Terran saying, screw it, I can't defend that expansion because of the mobility of Zerg, so he's going to go for a counterattack, try to bring hurt in, but Haypro knows it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. Just how much damage will this attack be able to deal, pushing across the map with a huge army? I don't even know if he needs to siege up with the pure power, the pure force coming from Terra, but a bunch of Banglings getting absolutely fried by the Hellions. He's continuing to push in, sieging up, just going to take middle ground, and if he can separate the Zerg expansions, he might just be able to lay out a base or two here, which would turn this game around, but you can see he has completely lost mining time at that. Command center's had to lift off. My screen is absolutely screwed, gooing everywhere. It looks like Zerg might just have enough, but still the remainder of the tanks just too much at this point. Broodlords coming back. They have stopped their attack and they have come back for defense, but no anti-air besides the slow Thor that is currently being taken out by Broodlords here, and looks like the tanks are just saying screw it. Muta's only 4 left. Kill so slowly, should be able to lay out this hatchery before any attack can be done for those siege tanks. Will they stay alive long enough? 6 Mutas remaining. Looks like this hatchery will fall in plenty of time. Can he go down here and pick off the 6 o'clock? That would be quite a big boost for his for the economy game. Looks like he might just not have enough though. The Muta's coming just in time. Will he save it? He does save it. Barely save it. And Haypro taking a huge lead in this game, ladies and gentlemen. Huge lead for sacrificing his army and only getting the hatchery to the red. close but no cigar. Absolutely devastating here for Ver. He is in a load of trouble now. He has taken his third. He's going to take the time to get his fourth, but he is actually defending quite well. I'm surprising a counterattack hasn't quite come. I think the Zerg macro here. Let's take a look at the harvester count one more time. Is that, oh my gosh, 86 drones out here. If he makes any more, it might just get a little silly. I don't think you absolutely need this. Look at the saturation, ladies and gentlemen. Look how much gas HayPro is bringing in. His economy is still booming, and the creep just keeps spreading. And as the creep spreads, it gets harder and harder for Terran. There is just no way to land a drop. It is map hacks practically when you get to this point in the base. Looks like we have a couple Vikings coming to play to deal with all this air. The Zerg has taken air superiority, and Ver wants it back. Ultra's coming into play as well. And now, absolutely every tech unit coming into play. Absolutely crazy game thus far. Looks like Zerg's gonna push in a little late siege for Ver, but I think he might just have enough to clean some of this up. Planetary Fortress dealing a ton of damage, and this is the power of it. The positioning was key by Ver, and he's gonna be able to repel this attack. The Broodlord still slowly pushing in. Where is the remaining anti-air? 2 more Vikings on the way here to deal with the Broodlords, but the Broodlings just dealing serious hurt to the tanks, and tanks in StarCraft 2, ladies and gentlemen, they just take so long to build. Losing a tanks even, it hurts more than it did in Brood War, and I know that just hurts Terran's hearts, but nonetheless, looks like these Broodlords pushing in, dealing more damage to this expansion. Can he hold this expansion? Possibly. His army, the mobility of Zerg army is taking over this game right now. HayPro is playing this very well. Definitely a force to be reckoned with, and expect a great result for GSL. I don't actually think there is a GSL 4, but for the next GSL event overall, but still more banglings being warped in. Here come the Broodlords to deal more hurt, but finally being dealt by the Vikings. The air superiority, air is definitely coming into this game with a huge force, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely crazy game thus far. Turrets everywhere. Terran realizing I just can't quite keep up with the mobility of the Zerg, and he's having to build planetary fortresses, siege tanks everywhere, just because Thors are so slow. Yes, indeed, they are the ultimate counter unit for mutas, but they just can't touch him. It's got to be really frustrating to be a Thor. You just chase and never can seem to touch it. But indeed, it looks like HayPro has taken the inner 7 o'clock expansion, and so he's going to be able to macro up even more. Let's take a look at this real quickly. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3 and almost, yeah, so basically 3 mining bases for HayPro, and Terran still going strong off of basically 3, but a little thin on the SCVs. Huge battle coming in the middle. Ultra is just slamming their way through the front door, not realizing, oh my gosh, that's a lot of tanks, and that tank line is going quite deep, and that planetary fortress, name him the MVP for Ver. He has withstood the whole game, dealing a ton of damage, and a little bit sloppy from HayPro, just throwing away a lot of units there, but it really might just not matter, because 83 drones, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot reinforce an army any quicker than Mr. HayPro. But here we go. It looks like we're going to transition into heavy Viking play, really going to try to take air superiority, and going to kill a lot of Overlords, but at this time, it might just not matter. There are so many hatcheries which can just pop out Overlords so quickly, and he should have plenty flying around the map. It looks like he has actually got him all the way down to 166, actually killed a few Overlords, but getting a little greedy and loses almost all those Vikings. Loses about 3 Vikings to Queen, and this game just seems to keep going. Both players just macroing, and we have a huge force for Terran being formed again. A lot of tanks coming into play, tank heavy play, but he needs the buffer, and that's exactly what he's using. Supply depots, bunkers, a little flash-like Brood War play here, just slowly pushing across the map. But look at this creep. This is the danger zone. This is the lava on the playground here for Ver. He is just not really gonna be able to move out here, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to use this. Dropship play is gonna be very hard. Looks like HayPro taking the 6 o'clock expansion. Where won't HayPro expand? Probably gonna pop the 12 o'clock down. It wouldn't even surprise me at this point. Both players just playing absolutely brilliantly thus far, but looks like Terran's forced to play quite defensively. Finally coming out here with a group of Marines scanning, taking a lot of creep tumors out. Look at all those creep tuners. Oh my gosh, 2 full hotkeys of creep tumors. Someone wants to spread their creep, but Ultra's coming in, killing a lot of Marines before they get in range back of the tank, stimming back. Where are the medevacs? Those Marines, finally with only that 1 medevac, those Marines are not very tough, but what is tough is the ultimate defense being formed. This is like a UMS game. That defense force is getting out of control here. Looks like HayPro's gonna slip by. Can he possibly take out the planetary fortress? A little bit of a misclick, and it might just be enough, and it looks like it will to clean it up. Takes out the planetary fortress, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is a well-performed snipe here from HayPro. HayPro doing everything he can to try to stay away from the Terran bulk, the Terran huge army. Looks like Terran's going to transition into some Raven play as well, and it's so hard to keep up with all the structures and all the units. Just so much going on in a game like this. Every single unit is being used. More Lings, more Broodlords, and we're probably going to see more Ultralisks. It is just whatever unit you want, just rolling their hands across the keyboard, using every hotkey to build every unit here, and just absolutely brilliant play thus far. Looks like Terran's going to try to come up, set another. He's actually going to do another. He's going to do double Planetary Fortress defense, and this guy should have played Brood War. He would have loved the defense in Brood War here. He is using the Planetary Fortress defense to the max. Looks like he is content with just taking the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases, but he's got to get this base, and I feel he can't let Zerg get the 12 o'clock. Zerg comfortable to sit where he is right now. You take a look at the income tab, still looking quite good for Zerg, but with all the mules for Terran, he's really going to be able to keep up the macro production, which is going to put Zerg in a tough situation. I don't think Zerg wants to split this map. Looks like he's going to do a little bit of a siege harassment. Nicely done thus far. It looks like Zerg might just be going for a counterattack. A couple Lings being formed out. Gonna have to keep a look on the minimap. There's just so much yellow and red, Christmas colors everywhere, ladies and gentlemen, getting ready for the holidays, but nonetheless, looks like that gas is going to go down here at this expansion, but a couple Broodlords coming in to clean it up. Nice play thus far, but a huge attack might just be getting ready. Ultra Ling seems to be the attack with some Broodlords. Every single unit being thrown at every single unit. Hard to keep up, hard to know just exactly what will break the Zerg army, but nonetheless, a ton of Broodlords coming in here, but these Vikings are going to get some free shots. Will they get the Broodlords off? There is not much to deal with it, not much buffer for the tanks, and I feel that's the weakness of the Terran defense. Looks like Haypro's just going to go for the break. Looks like all these Ultras are going to get right up on the tanks, grinding away the HP bars very quickly, and he might just be able to break the Terran defense. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, Ver's MVP, the Planetary Fortress, doing an absolutely brilliant job of defense in that Planetary Fortress. That is the only thing that hasn't died for Ver. That thing just refuses to die, playing absolutely perfect thus far in the defensive game. It looks like he's going to lose a lot of mining time again. This inner 12 o'clock expansion has just been a hazard, or inner 1 o'clock expansion, excuse me, it's just been a hazard for Ver. Lost a lot of mining time on it. How will it work out? 80 versus 80 workers right now. Absolutely dead even thus far. It's hard to say who even has a lead. Zerg has lost a lot of units, but done a lot of damage. Just keeps pushing back Terran, pushing back Terran, and pushing back Terran, and Zerg just slowly trying to creep up, slowly keep trying to push back Terran, but will he be able to push any farther? Thus far, he hasn't been able to. Looks like a nice group of Lings gonna come in here, but the Planetary Fortress in the main. Where isn't there a Planetary Fortress, ladies and gentlemen? Bunker defense. He is so ready for this. This guy likes his defensive play, and this has to be so frustrating to go against for Haypro. Everywhere he chooses to go, not only is there a bulk of tanks, a line of tanks waiting to fire at him, but as well there's Planetary Fortresses everywhere. He is popping them out like supply depots at this point, just putting them down everywhere. Finally, another orbital command. Looks like the natural is done. Looks like he is just simply off 3 bases now. Zerg is off of 2. Zerg really needs to do an expansion or has a break. He needs to break, but Bangling Ultra, Broodlord, Ling, every possible unit you can name Haypro has made. He's gonna slam it down the throat again, but I feel he's made a mistake to keep trying. Another Planetary Fortress, ladies and gentlemen, being built, and I think Haypro has realized, okay, maybe I will just cut out the middle ground on my minimap. There is just no way to break it, but as soon as I say it, Haypro suiciding more units in. Will he have enough to break it? The Planetary Fortress not up the second one, but again, that one is dealing so much hurt, so much AoE damage to it, and looks like Haypro just continuing to be sloppy, throwing these 12 Ultralisk away like pocket change, but that is not a pocket change army. That is a 4-base macro game army. Absolutely devastating how well the Zerg is macroing right now, but I feel his decision making has been a little thin at this point, but he was able to come in here and pick off some SCVs. Will the tanks? Look like the tanks have stopped all gas production, almost picked off that hatchery, which would be a nice gain for Terran at this point. I feel Terran somehow, some way is still in a comfortable situation, but look at the creep spread. That command center just staring at the creep, somehow, some way, doesn't even get why he can't land, and looks like more Broodlords, more infested Terran gonna be dropped in to draw the fire from the tank. Smart play here from HayPro, and that right there is brilliant play, ladies and gentlemen. 2 red HP bars remaining on the hatchery, and it is saved at the last minute. Expect him to use those drones to resume gas production, or excuse me, to resume gas mining, but looks like 67 drones out for him. That's just how many buildings, how many spine cars he has made. He has actually made a ton, and looks like his drone count getting a little lower, but he is a little thin on minerals, ladies and gentlemen, and this is absolutely crazy. 900 minerals in the bank for Zerg and 400 for Terran, and that is insane that you can be that low with this many bases. Looks like a group of a nice little doom drop here of Ultralisk, but planetary fortresses, tanks, there's just a maze to get through of buildings, just slamming all his buildings down. He is trying to make it the most complicated path to get to his units, and that is what you call almost bad SimCity placement that is working out beautifully. If it's that well thought out, then props to you, Ver, because it is working out brilliantly, cleaning up this drop with absolutely no problem. Didn't even lose a depot. If he gets proper repairs, I don't even think he lost a single structure or a single unit, maybe a few Marines, but absolutely nothing big. But looks like at the same time a big attack coming on the front here. Looks like that planetary fortress again, more planetary fortress. This is like a slow planetary fortress push, almost like a Zerg does a slow spine car push. Again, he's just gonna run in here. This is run bys from planetary fortresses. These are scared Ultralisks. It's hard to get a scared Ultralist, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that thing, but they are feared of the planetary fortress. Look like they are gonna push all the mining SCVs back in, and he's gonna have to bring over tanks. He is using, this is so ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen, just how many Ultralisks he has made, and things are getting very, very interesting. This 6 o'clock expansion, excuse me, is the crucial expansion right now. This is fresh minerals for HayPro, and this is something he's gotta keep if he wants to have a chance in this, just because the Terran macro. I want to actually take a look. I actually forget the tab, but let's go ahead and take a look at the units lost, and that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is a scary number. 47,000 resources lost for Zerg. That is ridiculous to think about just how many Ultralisks that is, but you can see 494 for Zerg, 325 for Terran, and that is absolutely a scary number because most of those aren't Lings, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of those is Ultralisk, which is absolutely insane to think you can lose that many Ultralisk and still make more, but LiquidHaypro showing us just how good his macro is. I feel his decision making has slipped a few times, but it's frustrating to play against a Terran like Burr. This is Mr. Defense to the max. There's just nothing you can do to stop this. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at your screen right now. Lines of tanks, bunkers, turrets, missile auto turrets, and planetary fortresses and missile turrets, and then a sensor tower. Just nothing Zerg can do. Nothing he can do to break that, so he's trying to go around the outside, but luckily for the Terran, he has more. Oh my gosh, it's slow bunker push. Seriously, this is Ver's playstyle. It's just to frustrate the Zerg. He might not even win. He might not even win, ladies and gentlemen. HayPro may just leave the game in frustration. This has got to be absolutely just, this is, if Idra was playing right now, you know the screen would be spammed in chat, spammed in asterisks and question marks and dollar signs that the game can't quite pick up. But nonetheless, looks like Zerg is content with just sitting back and continuing to macro up because Terran is in a comfortable situation thus far. Believe it or not, I think Terran, this is so hard to call. Minerals getting so low for both players. Both players are going to have to start being so smart with their units. Excuse me, stuttering all over. But HayPro at the inner clock expansion, the inner 12 o'clock expansion has a few minerals remaining. And then at the bottom, 6 o'clock still has a nice healthy patch here. But looks like he's going to slow push. Terran is going to be so careful. Looks like he's going to use these Ravens point defense to the max here. And this just makes his army all the stronger. Look at this though, planetary fortress. He is just popping these out, continuing to use this as a defense. And this is what you call a slow push, ladies and gentlemen. We are, I don't even know how many minutes. Let's actually take a look at this. We are 37 minutes into the game and Terran's not even halfway across the map. This is record speed slow, making turtles look fast here. There is nothing he's going to be able to do. He is continuing to push, continuing to siege forward. A limited amount of medevacs for these Marines, but the Marines serve as the buffer. The buffer for the amount of tanks is ridiculous still. He is still at 184. Zerg comfortably sitting at 187, 3K, 4K, 3K minerals and 4K gas, which means a lot of Ultralisk remaining in play here if he wanted to do this. He is just macroing up. I think HayPro's a bit confused of exactly what to do. This has to be some of the most frustrating play I have ever seen from a Terran opponent, and I don't even play either race. I play Protoss here, and there is just nothing you can do about this. This is absolutely insane. I wonder if Ver has done this every ladder game. I guarantee he hasn't played many games at this pace. I mean, at an hour a game or whatever it is, you would not get many games done in a day. You'd be exhausted after every one. But looks like Ver using this build to try to take out what I would label as the favor, definitely the underdog. Looks like he's going to use these Vikings as vision and going to be able to get some nice hits on the gas cannon, take it out. Roaches continuing to push forward and lay out a Marine or two, but nothing too big going on right now. The game has actually started to dull out. Both players realizing I just can't quite win, so I'm gonna have to continue macroing. Finally, the 12 o'clock expansion being taken by HayPro, which means, ladies and gentlemen, every single base has been occupied, and this is the first StarCraft 2 game I think I have ever seen that has this much macro in it. Let's go and take another look at the income back up to 84 drones. HayPro continuing to make drones, even though he has about 14 bases, but look at this Terran army continuing to push forward, slowly diminishing the creep, and that means Terran is slowly making a move across the map. I think Terran's actually in a comfortable situation, believe it or not. I think the Zerg throwing away all the units here. There's just nothing he can break. There is bunkers everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Everywhere there are bunkers here, and this is just not a good part to attack. Definitely a narrow jug, but looks like HayPro once again gonna suicide in, and the planetary fortress basically killing every Bangling. And this planetary fortress, more planetary fortresses. I wish I could take a look at the count of planetary fortresses because there are just so many in play here, but looks like the Raven count going to continue. Looks like he's going to put a few spine crawlers down. Very smart play, which will stop all tank harassment, or at least delay it momentarily. Definitely give him time to get some units over there. But looks like he's going to just continue making Ultralisk. My voice wants to give out, but I must keep going because this game is just so beastly, ladies and gentlemen. So well played here. Slow move by these tanks going to come and slowly diminish down the tanks, and I think this is such a well thought out build for a map like this. Ver might just indeed be changing the play style of TVZ on Shakuras Plateau, and this is just Ver, a no-name ladder, I believe. It looks like HayPro going for it once again. More Ultralists getting shredded to their death, just absolutely diminished down. Looks like he's going to actually back off with a few. Looks like one Infestor's out in play dead, desperately escaping with its life, scooting across the map, leaving its market territory. But looks like this game is definitely dulling out. Both players realizing I am fighting with my last life, and as much as HayPro has been delayed, it might just be enough, ladies and gentlemen. I just realized Ver, with only 200 minerals and 600 gas in the bank, Zerg would still an enormous amount. 4,200 minerals, 30k gas, and that is still a ton of Ultralists to be produced. I cannot stress it enough. I think, as well as it looks like Terran's making a move across the map, I actually think Terran is getting quite desperate. A huge turn of events, kind of a slow turn of events, that's for sure. But nonetheless, looks like Zerg's gonna try to put pressure on the right corner at the 5 o'clock expansion, desperately trying to break through, get some lings in, which means these barracks will fall, and this means this mining base, that's not a huge win though, because there are literally about 300 remaining minerals at the 5 o'clock expansion. So nonetheless, looks like he's gonna lay this out, but that is not of a huge deal. Looks like that planetary fortress just slowly burning. I hope he repairs this here. Definitely needs to, but there is still a large army out for Terran. But I think Zerg is gonna be able to make enough to break him. I really feel this is getting in HayPro's hands. It's just so hard to call though, because when every single resource patch is used, it basically means a ton of units can come into play, and the planetary fortress is down to 1 HP bar. This is like the most dramatic, slow burning planetary fortress I've ever seen. Looks like it might just burn down, and I think it will, slowly pushing in. A huge mistake here by Ver not to locate this planetary fortress and start repairing it, and it does burn down. It does burn down. A slow house fire has now killed the planetary fortress that was literally burning for about 2 minutes. Obviously more important stuff going on the map for Terran to take care of here. Slowly pushing up, still laying out the gas, diminishing the gas count, but it doesn't really matter because he still has 3k in the bank, building another command center. 7k, my gosh, 7k minerals. Looks like Zerg was able to clean up the remainder of those forces, and Terran is looking very, very desperate, ladies and gentlemen. So, believe it or not, I think HayPro is in more than a comfortable situation here, actually. I guarantee he'd beg to differ at this point. He is probably raging at his keyboard, but nonetheless, I don't even know if this guy could rage. Probably one of the nicest, most polite guys I've ever seen on an interview. Definitely a well-mannered, shy, Definitely spends a lot of time playing. You can see his macro getting quite beastly. Looks like he is... Oh, whoa. I'm going to go land my command center. But wait. There are four Ultras and a hatchery waiting. Haypro just creep everywhere. It has been diminished. The creep has definitely been diminished, but I feel Terran is hanging on with his last life here. He has wasted 8 cat lives on his last one here. How much will he be able to hold off, though? Will he possibly have enough? But look at that mineral count for Haypro. 6k minerals, ladies and gentlemen, and that is not something Ver would be very pleased to see, and I just don't think he's going to have enough here. He is desperately trying to mine, but only mining at that one base, and Zerg has a fresh expansion going up, just defending it with 5 Ultralisks. No big deal. Just a couple cannons. Instead of a couple cannons, I'll just have 5 Ultralisks as defense, long distance mining as we speak as well. And once that expansion goes up, I think he might just be able to secure the lead. Terran desperately trying to hold on. You can see Terran just reuniting his whole army. Nice drop there, getting a couple kills here, but he only is mining off 1 base. But look at this, just a ton of planetary fortresses, a ton of tanks. I wonder if Ver has this play thought out this well. Does he have something in his pocket to come back in this game, ladies and gentlemen? I feel he's just in a tough situation purely because he isn't banking, and you, my friend, are a baller to not be banking. Let's take a quick look at the timer. 47 minutes into the game, and he has 260 minerals. That is what you call good macro, kids. But there is nothing he can really do besides just bunker up at this point, trying to lay out this expansion, doing a nice job using 2 orbital commands to gather vision, and that is a frustrating thing because that is a lot of units that have to come in to try to kill. Looks like these investors are going to come in. Auto turrets going down. Every single unit being used. Oh my gosh, look at all those SCVs. They are so low in HP. One more strike of damage would be devastating. You could literally kill, just toss an orange at him, and you'd literally kill about half of them here. There is 1 HP bar. Looks like he's gonna drop the ultras. Will he have enough? And a ton of SCVs are gonna fall here, and that, my friend, might just be, okay, not as many as I thought, actually. It's hard to tell. Little healing beams and drops going everywhere. And there are so many different kind of units. This is like the unrealistic footage that Blizzard puts on the front page of a game, and you really never ever get that composition. But that is exactly what we are seeing here in this long game between Haypro and Ver. Both players continuing to try to macro, but there's not much macroing going on just because there are so few minerals remaining on the map. Gonna land up a command center, desperately gonna try to remain. Look at this. Haypro's continuing to long distance mine, and there's just a Marine slowly killing his drones. Both players so desperate for minerals, but Haypro, does he need to be desperate? Because he has 5k in the bank. He is well prepared for the depression that's going to come up here, and you can see Ver is desperately trying to mine minerals, but there is just no way Haypro will break the Terran opponent. I really do strongly feel about it. I just don't see a way that Terran's going to be able to do this, but look at the positioning. He is definitely using that to the max. Alright, maybe this is going to be longer than I thought. Oh my gosh, this is the ultimate defense. He has turrets, engineering base, bunkers. He has 2 tanks on the high ground, planetary fortress in the middle, followed by some turrets. We have Vikings, more planetary fortress, and oh my gosh, more lines of tanks. How will Zerg choose to break it if he does ever choose to break it? Will Zerg have enough to break it after he loses all these minerals from mining? Will the remaining minerals be enough to break the Zerg? If this game ends in a draw, I just might cry myself to sleep here because this would be devastating for this to come out into a draw. But more infested Terran coming out to play. He is really using these to clean up these tanks nicely. His cook scan going off. Looks like he's going to be able to clean that up without too much trouble. Nicely done. 1 HP bar remaining on the 1 tank, and every single tank really does matter at this point, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like the opponent, our Terran opponent, is just going to bunker up around this 1 command center and make this the ultimate defense. Make it the ultimate defense to break. And I don't know if Zerg's going to have enough. How many more does he have in the minerals? Still 6k minerals. It's hard to say at this point. Still, I wouldn't call it over, but there are literally, I'm going to take a quick look at the mineral patches. We have 1k minerals times 1100. So we have about 8,900 minerals remaining for the Zerg, and we only have about 500 times 6, about 3k for Terran. So it means we have about a 6 plus 11, 17k spending for Zerg versus what it appears to be 800 plus the 3k, 3,800. So can a Zerg, a 18k Zerg army over time break this ultimate defense, or will Terran have enough to hold off and play for a tie? I really think Terran has to shoot for a tie. There is just no single way he's going to attack. Why would he go away from the free planetary fortress damage? Will Haypro have enough, ladies and gentlemen? gentlemen, that is the question at this time. Spine crawlers, he can move those forward. He can do everything he needs to because he's probably in his mind thinking right now. That's why he's delayed his attacks. He's thinking right now, how do I break this Terran army? How do I do this? I have to have air remaining. I cannot lose to a Terran who can just float. That would be absolutely frustrating. So I don't know how much anti-air he has right now. Looks like he has a couple Broodlords here, but not much anti-air, and that is not exactly a good thing. Maybe he's going to slowly eliminate every single building by one queen. It would take a while, but it actually could come down to something that small here, but looks like Terran is taking this time to continue to bunker up. Look at these tanks behind the mineral patches, and that is just, this is so funny. He's going to drop 4 mules to pick up the remaining 90 minerals. That'll take about 30 seconds, but 30 seconds is not very much when you're talking about a game that is going on as long as this. Will HayPro have enough, ladies and gentlemen? Will he have enough to break the ultimate Terran defense here, or will the Terran defense just be too much? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of these buildings just lifting off and relocating themselves and making the ultimate maze for the mouse, but looks like he's gonna slow play this with Broodlords. Nice tech for the Broodlords here, because you can see there's just not many Marines being come into play here. About 14, I'd say. Oh, I was totally off. Make it 20. 20 Marines here remaining for Zerg, or for Terran, excuse me, but I think he's gonna be able to slowly push back, but he has lost mining time, and if this expansion falls, it just might not matter, because there's only about 1k minerals. Zerg's still banking up at 6k, and I really do think HayPro will win this game, ladies and gentlemen. It is definitely HayPro's game to win, or HayPro's game to lose, because all Terran can literally do is sit there. That is all he can do. I actually want to take a look at the APM tab, and I am wondering what Terran is doing with that much APM at this point, because that really could drop. He could go get lunch and come back and just basically sit here and bunker up, because there is no attack in plan for Terran army, and looks like he is just going to continue to sit here. But that's so many tanks, ladies and gentlemen. I can't stress it enough. Can Zerg possibly have enough to break this, or will we go for an elimination race? Will we go for a tie? What will this game come of? Zerg suiciding, very, very, very narrow choke, and he's gonna lose so many more Ultralists than he needs to, but doesn't matter. Will the pure number, the pure force of Ultralists be enough to push through? And it looks like it just might not be. Looks like Terran will hold, but how many minerals delayed remains for HayPro? HayPro all the way down to 3k. I'd say another batch or two of Ultralists out for Zerg, and that'll be all. I don't know what's gonna happen. I can't stress it enough. I just don't know at this point. I am a lost commentator indeed. He doesn't have the gas. He really needs to mine some gas, but might all the Vespian gases be depleted? They appear to be so, which means Lings are gonna have to come into play, and that's not gonna do much against the Terran force unless he can get 200 Lings. He might just indeed pull his drones, and once all these minerals are taken up, it's going to be SCVs repairing the tanks, making the ultimate defense for the Terran just that much stronger. Down to 80 minerals, 135 gas, ladies and gentlemen. The bunkering Terran might just indeed somehow be enough to hold off the Zerg. HayPro down to 4,400. How many minerals are remaining here? 500. Looks like we have 500 times 8, ladies and gentlemen. 4k. Thank you for my college education, but nonetheless 4k, which is another round of units, but it can't be Ultralist because the gas count, ladies and gentlemen, down to 510. Doesn't have the gas to support it. Vikings desperately coming in. Corruptors in play, and Corruptors, they are not going to do much. They're going to be able to lay out the anti-air here, but that is not going to be enough. Those are only a few Vikings. Maybe you can go after the medevacs, but the Marines, will the Marines be enough to break the Broodlords? That's really the question at this point. Terran might even put up a couple more turrets if he plans to play it that way, but he really needs to keep these Vikings right by the Marines, because the Marines are looking very, very thin. Every single mineral patch is basically mined out. I have literally never, ever seen this. There's a few patches, 40 and 40. It literally might come down to something that small. You see him using one mule. The Link comes in and picks off the mule, but not to worry, because Ver has another one spawning in as we speak, and gonna be able to clean up the rest of these 200 minerals. 3 mules for 250 patches. That's kind of funny, actually. But Ver is the ultimate defensive player. Definitely would be the defense player of the league if there was such a thing, and he is slowly coming away. Possibly if he can destroy the hatchery before all the mining can be done, it could delay the inevitable. I just don't know if he has enough here. It's so hard to say. I know I keep stressing it, but it is just so hard. But 900 minerals somehow ranked up in the in the food count, in the bank for Ver. That is a lot of Marines that could be produced, and I feel that would be the great tech choice just because the Ultralists aren't going to be able to come out here. But do the opponents know? Look at all these lings formed. I think Haypro has enough. I really, really do. I think he can make so many lings with 4K minerals. We might just see him make ling after ling after ling, and you get the song that I'm singing. That would just be so many lings. I think he's going to be able to break. Look at the APM slowly but surely dropping. He is switching to all ling production at this point, realizing I don't have enough gas to continue the production. Now he's going to Planetary Fortress up. He's going to sit behind his Planetary Fortress, maybe build a depot wall, some way to separate yourself from these tanks, because Zerglings are quite strong against tanks, although the first about 50 Zerglings are going to fall before they even do anything. Looks like Terran's going to spread himself a little thin. An attack from Zerg could be quite strong. Is it worth it, ladies and gentlemen? Is it worth it to save 800 minerals of mining for your opponent? Looks like he thinks it is. One turret to help anti-air. Looks like he's going to fire away. Spine crawlers following, and soon the hatchery will fall. Will it be enough, though? But look at the mass lings. Haypro with 4,500. I just don't see Terran winning this game. I just don't. Planetary Fortresses do deal extreme damage, though. Two Zerglings, definitely, but I don't think he's gonna have enough minerals to repair. It looks like Zerg gonna attack. He is all inning at this point. And look at this, just gonna break the Terran, but look how many things fell before he even touches them. But look at this, ladies and gentlemen, Zerg still, oh my gosh, he's rebuilding a hatchery to get, wow, there's not many minerals there. Is that even worth the hatchery at this point? It must be. He's probably doing the math. There's not much else to do in this game. There's so many drones, but the drones are going to be able to come into play too. The SCVs will as well. He needs to buffer, but look at the tank count. So thin at this point. He has cleaned it up with Ultralisk. I really think Zerg is going to win this game. There is just no way for Terran to come back. The Terran's slow. Some would call it boring. I'll say bunkering, but there is just nothing he's gonna be able to do. He has no minerals, ladies and gentlemen. He has nothing to mine. There is nothing he can do. Trying to mine gas, but gas with no minerals doesn't do much. Sadly, there is nothing you can build with purely gas. I'm definitely thinking Ver is definitely hoping so, but this game is definitely gonna come to an end here when the Terran player, when the Zerg wants to attack. There is just way too many lings he's gonna be able to produce, but he is still at 2.4k, but all the way back up to 157 food. Expect him to use drones. If there are absolutely no minerals to mine, then drones become the strongest unit you have at this point. Slowly going to continue to push up. Zerg, Terran does not want Zerg to get these remaining minerals. Desperately trying to fight for an elimination race at this point. Marines coming forward, but he's losing a lot of anti-air, but I don't think Zerg has the anti-air. It's going to be pure lings, but the pure force of Zerglings is going to be way too much, and this game is eventually going to end when Haypro wants it to end. Haypro could very well push a GD if he chose to attack. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tab. 102 minutes into the game. Or not 102 minutes, yeah, that'd be a long game. An hour and 2 minutes, excuse me. But looks like he's gonna push in here, gonna be able to oh, they drop so fast, but he just might have enough, and it looks like he will, especially with reinforcements. But oh my gosh, Terran relocating himself to the two tanks, the two high ground tanks. I don't blame him, though. Would you want a GG out of a game like this, ladies and gentlemen? You have played your little heart out, and there is nothing you can do about it. He's trying desperately to use the tanks, but here comes a drop, but the Overlord gets... No! He gets sniped. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. There might just be enough lings. Micro those tanks. You must micro. Looks like he is going to micro. He's desperately trying to park over near the turret so the opponent can drop on there. That's hilarious, is what it is. Zerglings and Ultralisk cleaning up every remaining thing. Terran is hanging on to two siege tanks. Two siege tanks, ladies and gentlemen. He's actually going to pick them up with a medevac and go right by the planetary fortresses, saying, I would like to play for an elimination race. 0 minerals remaining for Terran. Absolutely 0. You looked at it. 0 for the Terran opponent here. All he has is 1k gas to his name, and there are, sadly, absolutely no patch, not one single mineral remaining on this map, and I have never seen a game like this in the StarCraft time. This will go down in record books probably as the first game to do this, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't think it's going to end in a tie, and that really has to kill the Terran here. But looks like he's going to relocate all his army. But I think the Zerg might just be attacking before then. That one Overlord going to drop. Look at this. He is going to contain his own tanks with buildings. And it's just, this is hilarious at this point that this has come down to this. But still 2k in the minerals, which means still a lot of lings here that can be, especially with his infestors, 2 tanks to his name. Terran's probably hoping that the Zerg is closer to mined out. But hey, Pro, how can you not bank when you have 7 expos? And indeed, he is banking. And he is continuing to be, but now he has 238 minerals. There must have been a patch when I was saying there was 0. He must have continued been mining, or I think he actually was salvaging his bunkers is actually how I think he's getting minerals here. One more planetary fortress defense. Look at this. This is ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Gonna build barracks, bunker, planetary fortress, orbital command, factory, defense around his tanks, and he has turrets to help with anti-air. I don't think it's going to be enough, but it's very, very cute indeed. Spine crawlers could even come to play to slowly push into this wall. But there is just, look at all these buildings. He could, in fact, float over. Will he choose to do that? There's more bunkers that could be salvaged. Both players talking. Ver is realizing that I got to take a look at his APM just for kicks and giggles at this point, and it has dropped. Hey, Pro had 0 APM for a moment. He is seriously sitting there, probably arms crossed, might even be drinking, might even be eating lunch, because there is nothing he can do at this point. Just going to mine out every single mineral, get as much gas as he can, and then he's going to suicide everything and hope to break the Terran. But does the Zerg? Yes, the Zerg has too much anti-air. There's no floating happiness for Zerg, or for Terran, excuse me, but look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the force. This is ridiculous. I think if Terran lifted off all these other things, possibly he can contain, but he only has 2 tanks. Salvaging bunkers to repair the tanks, but only 38 minerals remaining, so there are basically going to be no repairs that can go down on the tanks. Maybe a milliseconds of repair. Could the game come down to that? But I don't think it will. I think Zerg has way too many. Oh my gosh, Zerg's down to 1,500 minerals. Zerg is seriously down to 1,500 minerals. I think he definitely can break it. It's so close. I don't know. I think Zerg has enough here, but will he have enough? The Broodlords, I think, should be able to clean up the tanks, but there are a couple Vikings out. It's going to come down to one last attack, which I think Zerg will win. Zerg will literally win this game by 500 minerals, and that is the entirety. That is every single mineral being mined out in the entire base, ladies and gentlemen, which is absolutely insane. Looks like he's slowly going to push forward and lay out the turrets, and the turrets falling means no anti-air, and nice use of the infestors here, and they're going to pick them off, and this will be the remainder of the Terran force here, and Zerg continuing to push in. One day, one time, he will go for the break. When will it happen? I've been waiting for the moment for about 25 minutes now. Will he choose to attack anytime soon? The wall of SCVs being formed for defense. Absolutely insane game. Completely privileged to bring you this, guys. It is absolutely crazy. Look at all the drones being pulled. He is going to send everything at him in a moment, down to 1k minerals, though. He basically, let's take a look at the units tab. What the scenario is at this time is 2 tanks, 2 marines, 1 medevac, and 11 SCVs. Must hold off 34 drones, 75 lings, 1 ultralisk, 2 broodlords, and there's just no way that this is gonna actually happen, and he could make more lings, probably another 50, something like that. So there is absolutely no way, but Zerg being very, very careful, doesn't want to waste units, slowly gonna push away, and the Terran opponent is doing nothing to stop this, because at this point there is absolutely nothing he can do. Nonetheless, he's desperately trying to repair the buildings, slowly eliminating his own units here, and once these structures fall, the 2 tanks will fall, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, will be a GG force from Ver. An incredible game. Absolutely ridiculous. What a joy to cast. But nonetheless, slowly coming in with Broodlords. SCV's getting so low. All red HP. Planetary Fortress, he's actually microing back one by one. And he just says KGG. I hate you. Leaving the game here. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, what a thrill of a game. Thanks for watching Slow Terran Push, appearing not to be quite good enough to beat HayPro. HayPro's macro is just too beastly, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, my voice is... I actually went through that whole game without taking a sip of water. So after I hit the stop button, I will have the sip of my life. And anyways, thanks for watching, guys. That is all I have. Sunday signing out. Thanks. Bye.